Mic check, 1, 2.
Tom, use your word.
Hey, you.
That's original freedom.
I came into your life at an interesting time, and you into mine as well. And, you know, if my memory serves me, when we met, you know, you were at a point coming off riding high on the race world. You're also a guy that's so all in that you burned so bright and so long that kind of fuse or that light was just the juice just for you, like success and this and that, right? And you're in this new space, and then you dove off into a whole new venture, right? That had, you know, essentially no linear correlation to where you're coming from. And during that time, as your friend, I watched you like burn it down. Like I tell people there's only one guy I know that for sure was a CEO of 2 companies at one time.
Right.
And he worked about 20 hours a day, 6 days a week. And that was you, brother.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you remember those times.
Sure.
I just remember being on the other end of the phone during those times, you know?
Sure.
And the reason I'm kind of fast forwarding you to that is because I know it was a super transitional time in your life, right? You had, for all intents and purposes, created massive success, like as far as check block goes, like fucking Porsche championship, beautiful team, company, fucking starting a family, the whole 9 yards, right? Yet at some point you created all of this success and also had created what I'll go out on a limb and say had turned into a potential driving you crazy.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
Well,
yeah.
Because man, that was when you did a lot of shifting in life, and you know what brought those shifts around. What did you do? How did you do it? Because you once again have done the scary thing of reinvesting to the point of risk for the next win.
Yeah. We talked about constant improvement. And I was kind of running out of technical things to improve in the team. And I kind of looked around like, what's left? Like, what's next? You know, what's that next thing? And, you know, I think I was looking at the budget one day, and I was looking at a pie chart of where the money was being spent on various different budget categories. And, you know, I see this, and, you know, the wedge of salary that it takes up on a pie chart, it's big. It's a big percentage, like many businesses.
Yeah.
You know, I said, if we could make this wedge of the pie chart 2% better, that's where we need to put our focus. And so up until that point in my career, as a technical person, as an engineer, you know, I was focused on technical solutions, right, and improving the technical aspects of the team. You know, and it was around that time that I realized, hey, let's make better people, right? Because if you focus on making better people, well, then that's going to make everything else better, right? So, you know, that realization has really driven me as a leader from, you know, let's say mid 2015 till today, you know, in an increasing way, has focused me on how do we make better people, which is what you're all about. We've spent many hours reviewing, but so kind of getting where we're going is I realized that, you know, I need another big new challenge, and that's what fuels me. You know, again, John Bennett at the time, he's been amazing friend to me, and you know, he's a founder and a CEO of many companies, and he had one company, his original company, Composite Resources. It wasn't necessarily his primary focus anymore, and to me, it looked like a big, intense challenge. I ultimately approached him and said, hey, if I could put the financing together to buy half the business, would you sell it to me? He said, you're crazy, but sure. And, you know, for starting in 2016 for 2+ years, you know, I was really hands-on day-to-day operator, you know, of these 2 businesses. And, you know, I think, another theme for me is like, the more pressure, the more you need to perform, right? And it was during that time period certainly challenging and depleting,
Sure.
to me personally in a lot of ways, but it forced me to really abandon a lot of the personal tactics that I had, to evolve, to be a better leader, to be able to operate in that way and ensure success of both organizations.
Yeah, just so you know, that was a big kudos, because I do know people out there that say they're the CEO of 5 companies or 3 companies or whatever. It's fucking entitled. I saw what truthfully being doing that job, like, and that was applaud, man. It's also before you had any kids.
Right. Yes, definitely.
And LT probably not all that happy yet. She was
great.
You know what though? I was going to take that back, right? Because no doubt, what a partnership and a teammate. 100%, right?
Yeah.
And to you've heard as well. It's just another beautiful aspect of you. And so you went on though to, reinvent yourself, and the key point there is, and I heard you say brute force. If I'm wrong, I'm happy to be, but I think what you meant was pure will. Like you were never, you run on like, boom, I'm willing this. Like, and aside from me being in the hospital or dead, it's happening. Right? So that's also, it's believability and possibility. That's your mindset, right? And I think that tees us up for some stuff at some point. To the point of knowing yourself well enough to know you needed another challenge, right? You said, I needed another challenge. And I think, I've done it in the past, and there are people that are built that way and literally kill themselves and organizations by staying there too long. Because I also will applaud you from the outside looking in, and I've seen other people make this mistake that you didn't. We had, hours and hours of conversation, right? And at some point, it wasn't you lost your passion for racing. It's what you just said. You've created something. It was beautiful. The team is wonderful. And the same reason I left the 82nd to be a Green Beret. It's the same reason I left being a Green Beret to go to the unit. It's the same reason I left the unit to go be an entrepreneur.
Right.
Because I'm going to go find a new mountain to climb.
Yeah.
Yet you didn't go climb an easy mountain. You went from the race world into the composite resources, composite manufacturing, in the aerospace world. To like, really, how did you take that? If there's any critical or key moments personally that you went through, trials or tribulations, and or business wise, that has now totally brought you to present day, which is like running. Composite is leaps and bounds ahead of where almost 3 years ago you and I sat down with your team for a day, and did that short development process, and also, if you would touch on the business model that you're using to operate over there and how that came about. And, I know it's a lot yet, so if you could wave top that stuff, but those are key points.
Yeah, sure. So, diving into that a bit, like, the catalyst is, knowing yourself well enough to know, what makes you tick, what motivates me, right? And so for me, as you said, for you, it's that new challenge, right? Understanding that. And I think what's important for people to understand, and I'll speak a bit for you because I know you well enough, right? Yeah. This isn't, we're not making these changes because we want something better. It's not that. This isn't, it's the next thing, right? This is just fundamentally motivated by different challenges. We're not chasing some unattainable thing. This is just how we operate, right?
100% agreed. And I think there's people out there that beat themselves up for it and or judge, and that's fine. I can only speak for myself. I quit doing that shit. Like, I just accepted who I am, who I choose to be, and I like the model. It keeps things pretty damn interesting.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it's not saying, hey, what I have today, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Not at all. Part of it was for me, and what I think was interesting was, hey, you think you're pretty, this is me talking to myself. Hey, you think you're pretty good at running a race team, right? Yeah. But that's all you know. And if you could take what you know and go do something totally different with it and be successful, that I thought was interesting. Like, if you can take your skills and make them portable to a totally different industry.
Yep.
That to me was a validation of the way that I was operating. So 2016, Jan 1, 2016, I continue my role with the race team, but I step in as managing partner of Composite Resources. So some stuff translated, some stuff definitely did not translate. So I think the biggest theme for people to connect with is, I came from a race team, and just like any sports team, Nate, I know you got a bit of a sports background, right? Like, your first day, you show up, right? Like, you pretty much know what the goal of that team is, right? Mm. You're involved with football, right? Goal is to win the Super Bowl, right? Yep. Same thing with a race team. You show up at a race team, you know what the goal is, you know what your role is in that, and you know the reward, right? You get to win. So I'm at Composite Resources, spend a couple months there right now, getting the lay of the land, and like I'm like, man, there's got to be a goal. Like somebody around here has got to know what the goal is. Like it's not quite coming through to me. And so let's say that we're 20 people at the time. So I'm going to go find out what the goal is. So I walk out of the shop. I asked 20 different people what the goal is, and I got 20 different answers. So this is not going to fly. So that was my biggest thing. Like, hey, we got to do something about this.
I think this is a problem.
This is a problem. This is a significant problem.
No one knows what the goal is.
We're
running a company. We're building shit.
Right. We got 20 people going 20 different directions. In this whole theme of a goal, a role, and a reward, it has been super, super powerful. So what we did towards the end of 2016, and a lot of brought you in as a catalyst for some of this, but we very clearly defined where we wanted this company to be by 2020. So that was 4 years in the future. It gave people some stability, and it was as clearly defined in racing terms, championship, in football terms, Super Bowl, of what we wanted to achieve. Inside of there, we had some very clearly defined business goals. And then we met with each department, and then ultimately each individual to be super clear about how they contribute to this. Equally, what they're going to get out of this, right? They're going to get a stable job. They're going to get, they might have some career advancement. But we met with each person to understand what's important to them. Again, I'm not selling what I want to sell. You tell me what you're buying, right? Yeah. And how you can achieve that through your employment with Composite Resources. We're not taught, when we say reward, it's not automatically money. As of today, we have a very cool profit sharing system, but it's much more about, right? How is each employee getting fulfillment about through their experience at Composite Resources,
based in their motivations, what they tell you, what you learn from them.
Right.
And obviously not a model that can be done at massive scale. Yet a lot of people run, I'd say the norm is smaller scale businesses to mid-sized businesses, right? So when you took over as managing partner there, you went in, you did a little bit of research, didn't take long. We don't have a unified goal. Therefore, there's no way in hell we're a team, much less interdependency. So you immediately went into people as well. It's like, hey, what do they want? And you've now taken that 20 people under that set up 3 years ago, and where are you at now?
So by the end of this year, we will have doubled sales. We've grown from 20 people to 75 people. Wow. And we have a great retention rate. And I think, myself included, people are excited to be there, excited about the future. We promoted a bunch of people along the way. We got people in different roles, people being challenged, people getting uncomfortable, right? In a good way. And from a business model perspective, we recognize that, you're sort of a job shop, little of this, little of that. We had some more stable programs, but we've really gone deep into the aerospace industry. And the beauty of the aerospace industry is big demand for composites right now, and long running contracts, which brings a lot of stability to the business.
Sure.
And we're using that to build a base of business, but then also which allows us to kind of experiment with some of the stuff that's going on with real high technology drones, or vertical urban mobility is an area that I'm personally interested in, and really excited to see where that goes in the coming years.
So is it because, and you talking on the topic of always having new challenges along the way and that kind of thing, is a bit of the freedom and the fact that there's a clear goal for your company, yet for the industry there's not necessarily one clear goal. Like, does that provide you the freedom that those challenges arise? The types of things that you're talking about, being able to do kind of the R&D stuff and kind of play around and experiment, does that kind of fit that need, or has that need kind of subsided a little bit?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head, and that's what's interesting for me about the company is that unlike a sports industry where there's this commonly held goal, with Composite Resources, we're building the foundation with commercial aerospace, but the opportunities are kind of endless of where we might go with the company, and I have this broader vision, and I'm really excited for what the future of flight transportation looks like. I think there's going to be a big demand for composites. Everything's going to need to be light. It's going to need to be strong. That's where composites are best. And, I like this sort of open sky opportunity. It really gets me interested. While at the same time, again, going back to some of the other themes, running a stable business, right? We're not going to take risking people's jobs or something in order to do that.
Yeah.
Well, and the real clear differentiator that you have at Composite Resources is that you essentially control the entire vertical, right? So you're building the molds, you're doing the tool and die work, you're machining in-house, CNCs, soup to nuts, right? Also gives you the in-house capability to R&D, rapid prototype. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And to me, that's what I always go back to. One of the things, especially in the breach and explosives world, that we're able to be so good is because, like, I was able to take a concept literally from my brain, a piece of paper, to on targets, and sometimes hours or sub 24 hours just to test, right? So, and I know that that's a really big piece and draw for that, and to see you now geeking out talking about the aerospace world and figuring out how you're the company that you're now really diving headforward into. And I think Nate did hit the nail on the head. With Core, once you win a championship, you want to win more, but at some point, if you're not winning them every year, the juice is gone, right? You can't get it anymore, baby. It's just more needle.
Yeah.
Yet over here, it's like you could end up inventing something. You end up that technology, or the lack thereof, the white space that's out there that I know you're going to find. You'll always find it, right? So that's almost as your self-licking ice cream cone over there. It just always, it's good for you.
Right.
You just keep you keep building.
And not to, there's been, okay, we transitioned to Composite Resources a bit, but, in all credit to Core, we have continued to evolve. The prototype, we touched on our Porsche division of the team, but the prototype division of the team, the series has evolved quite a bit. And so, we've continued to kind of step up the ladder. And, as a privateer, we were racing in the LMP2 class with John Bennett in the car, going up against manufacturers in that category, Mazda, Acura, Cadillac, of the best in the world. And we finished second in the championship last year.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
And now hey, we finished second in the championship. Let's go one rung up. Now we're in a Nissan DPI car. So, while at Composite Resources, that's a bit more white sheet of paper. We're continually evolving core to really kind of look ahead. Where's the best place for us to be? What's that next biggest challenge?
Yeah, and I don't, to me, that's a massive compliment and credit to you. Anytime a leader of any organization moves away and it continues to do well, much less evolve, that I will, if you won't take it, give you the credit of making sure that was in place, right? There wasn't a void when you left. You hadn't created so much and had your hands in so much shit that you leaving was painful, right? So that is a brilliant thing and a compliment to you as a leader. To have that organization thriving, absent you, so to speak, at the rate you were, and now the new one is getting your attention thriving as well, man. Like I said, because you're always on, because you're always moving, or maybe as a friend, I haven't told you enough how impressive you are, as it relates to, many aspects of life. And if you could, man, I'd like to put a bow on this by putting you on the spot to ask you, as it relates to your time in business, a couple of mistakes that you made that come to mind, like why'd you make them, what'd you learn from them, and how did you use it moving forward? Because that's the one thing that everyone's going to deal with. You talked about big ones, but even hit me with your biggest.
Sure. But before I do that, I got to give a shout out really to all the employees and teammates on both companies, right? That make these machines run and successful every day. Talking big mistakes. I think not understanding that human element piece sooner in my path. Right. And not giving that the attention that it really deserves. Because at this point, it's where I spend 80% of my time is, working with the people that are around me, whether they report to me or not, but, understanding what their challenges are, how they're operating on a human systems level, and really recognizing how powerful that is. And that, that's what I love about what you're doing, right? It's the magic. You're taking something that, hey, I had to kind of learn over time, and it's your whole deal. It's creating more power for humans. What you guys are all about. So I think you're on to something really big there. So in that same vein, not recognizing that how different people are, and how somebody who's so different could also be successful in their own way. So it's not appreciating that human element, but then also not appreciating how different people are, and you really using that as a strength.
So, the one term that is used super often now, it used to be inclusivity, right? But now it's more so of, diversity.
Yeah.
And actually, it's the term I've heard used and the way I've heard explained that I really enjoy is inclusivity, right? And it's inclusive, and what we're talking about is mindsets, inclusive, including everything. It's not about creating a diverse, it's including whatever's there. And I think people oftentimes misassociate or inappropriately at least say, well, this person doesn't fit our culture. Well, that's just because they don't go hang out and party on the weekends. That's no, this person it depends on if you have a culture of high performance. Does this introverted person that doesn't go to keg parties on the weekend kick ass on this team right here?
Right.
And that's more so a principles over personalities things as well that I've seen often happen. That now in the military, I would say there's plenty of guys that aren't going to babysit my kids. They're not even going to. In fact, I can't stand that son of a bitch. But if it's time to go breach, that's who was on my team. If it's time to go throw down, that's who I want fucking, as a number, so it's those separate things. And out here, it's like appreciating that aspect of people. And a lot of it's mindset. And I think what you described is a maturity thing. I would like to tell you that I've been this way my whole life, but we know that that's a lie. Right. So I had to learn the same way you did at some point of like, just because I'm super motivated and I'm super inspired and I work and I, it's like, well, yeah, that's not how everyone's built.
Right.
And
there's only so much I can do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. From an inspiration point.
Yeah. And just sheer workload. Right. So if you ever want to do more than what you can do or what I can do, right, you're going to have that appreciation for others.
Yeah. And I just think it's amazing that I asked you, like, give me your biggest mistake. And you went immediately to, I wish I would have paid attention or wish I would have learned how important the human aspect is in relation to running a successful team, organization. I don't care. This is Nate and I. It's the same thing. It's paying attention to that. And this is, you manage and hire and have way more people than I do. Is it a true statement? Like this is a employee's time, so to speak. Like your best employees are getting headhunted. Your best people are getting LinkedIn calls.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so essentially now followership and loyalty are something that if not paid attention to, you're going to lose people.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And at best, just underperform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I tell you, man, the time has flown, and your story is amazing. So thanks for joining us today, and for this episode. It could be night, could be day, wherever you are. So much of what we believe in here at Original Freedom, what we stand for, is found within your story, and that's why I told Nate how excited I was to be here. It's super often, especially for folks young in business or younger in life, like perhaps to meet you, see the trophy room, like, this shit all looks good, right? But it came with a lot of hard work, a lot of perseverance, a lot of belief in yourself, a lot of, and I've heard you say willing, like, what are you willing to do? You were willing to look this up. Willingness was always in play. I hope that you definitely inspire the folks listening the way you inspire me, because your determination, your grit, and we didn't touch on this, amazing dad, amazing husband, pulls all this off, and is a man of the utmost of high integrity. I value our friendship. I absolutely admire you as a businessman, and I look forward to watching the team fucking crush it this year out on the track, and the team over at Core. And
that's the plan.
And let's make a little side money on some design work. How about it?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, keep living your best life best you can, and that's in accordance with you and you only. Look in the mirror, quit bullshitting yourself about what you want, lean into the fear, have courage, and until next time, keep rocking.